Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Dion's Daily Dose for Sunday, July 11th. Let me try to switch this light a little bit. I'm looking not so good. How's everybody doing? There we go. That's a better one. As you may notice, I finally had enough of the big beard and shaved it off. Donovan's okay. He was initially mildly upset about it, but he's all right. I told him, summer's here, it's hot, and I've never been a huge fan of heat, which is why I don't live in Louisiana. There's some stuff to cover today, so we're just going to get right to it. There is some very interesting things going on. We'll start with this. There's a case with the Supreme Court right now. Well, the Supreme Court has to decide whether or not they're going to take the case. It's a guy who sued Delta, JetBlue, Southwest, 4 other airlines over the face mask mandate, right? And he's requested the Supreme Court hear his case. His name is Lucas Wall of Washington, D.C. And last month, he filed some lawsuits against the CDC and these airlines. So here is the key to this case. It is not just, I don't want to wear a mask, right? That's not what it's about. What it is Wall can't wear a mask due to an anxiety disorder. Now, regardless of how you feel about masks, whether you think they're necessary, whether you think they're an infringement of freedom, the bottom line is some people have legitimate medical exemptions. Let me just give you one off the top of my head. A human trafficking victim would probably have severe anxiety if they were kept bound and gagged. They would probably have a severe anxiety to wearing these masks. Most businesses respect these medical exemptions. There are doctors that give them. So they are a valid exemption. Wall said in his 99-page Supreme Court application, quote, "I respectfully ask for relief no later than Friday, July 16th, because I have a flight booked to Germany on Saturday, July 17th to visit my brother and his wife." Now, here's the thing, right? He has to go through the lower courts first before he gets to the Supreme Court normally. But he's trying to sidestep the process. It's not sure if the Supreme Court will consider this to meet the threshold for irreparable harm, but here's kind of the summation of this. Joseph F. Kubilka, chair of political science at Southern Methodist University, said the court would be more likely to take up Wall's emergency application if a broad group of Americans were in situations similar to Wall's. Otherwise, he doubted it would get traction. However, he did say, I also said the court would never take Bush v. Gore. So it's hard to say. The earlier lawsuits were filed in Orlando in the 11th Circuit so that his application would be sent directly to Judge Clarence Thomas. Haberfeld, professor of law, policy, and management at Boston University, said it's doubtful he would have a sympathetic ear in Justice Thomas, even though Thomas has long wanted to limit congressional authority over commerce. Wall thinks his arguments are strong. No one is wise enough to predict what the Supreme Court will do on any given issue, he said, and that's very true. He did add, if the Supreme Court denies preliminary injunction, then that's the end of the road for that avenue. Emergency requests to the Supreme Court, like Wall's, have become more frequent during the pandemic, creating what scholars have called a shadow docket. She said legal scholars have been studying the shift, which included pandemic-era requests over whether churches and businesses should have been closed during the spread. Ladies and gentlemen, it really just comes down to, if you know someone, especially someone with a valid medical exemption for masks, I'm not trying to turn this into an anti-mask rant, but if you would like to see people with a valid medical exemption not be forced to choose between putting themselves in emotional distress or potential medical issues by wearing a mask in order to fly or not flying. Keep an eye on this case at a minimum. If you know someone, let them know this case is going on. They can get involved. Look up how to contact the attorney, because the more people who sign on to this, the more likely it's going to be heard by the Supreme Court. The next thing I want to talk about is there is a video in Cuba where the communist dictatorship is being protested against. According to Florida Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar, Cuba's regime is shutting off internet on the island. That sounds familiar. It almost sounds like they don't want people to hear what's going on. Thousands of Cuban protesters have taken to the streets demanding an end to the country's communist dictatorship. Kevin McCarthy tweeted, "After decades of suffering through a communist dictatorship, the Cuban people deserve liberty. I am proud to stand in solidarity with the people of Cuba who are calling out for freedom." Steve Scalise said, "America stands with the people of Cuba as they fight for their freedom." Look at the pictures, especially this one here. Look at the people in the streets. Spontaneous street protests breaking out in several cities in Cuba with chants of "No tenemos miedo." We are not afraid. I probably butchered that, so my apologies to my, if anyone actually speaks Spanish, I apologize. Frustration with the dictatorship's incompetence, greed, and repression is mounting rapidly. U.S. officials on both sides of the political aisle issued statements on social media expressing their support of the demonstrations and expressed solidarity with the people of Cuba. They also shared footage where protesters could be heard chanting, "We are not afraid." Look at the thousands of people that have had enough. They have said, we're done. We're done. We do not want to be controlled anymore. We do not want these people to continue to be a crushing boot on the neck of freedom. Good for them. I mean, I hope that it ends up working out for them. The next thing, this is like a week ago almost. Now, I'm just gonna read the headline. Psaki encourages private companies to use vaccine passports. That's an innovative step that they will take. Some colleges, cruise lines, and other private entities have started mandating vaccines. Now, if you remember, because I know I remember, weren't we told over and over and over again by the media that what the White House says matters? You have to be very careful. You can't talk about, doing this and that or making this and that happen with private businesses. You can't encourage businesses. We were told that for 4 years, right? What your words matter, tweets matter, all this stuff matters, right? Why now is the quote unquote administration so hell bent on making sure that businesses do what they want? We know why, but let me see if I can bring this up. This is about the closest I can get. So I don't know if you've noticed. Hey, Jack. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining me. So I will say this is a post that I did earlier, and Klaus Meyer, I said, quote, "I see that you have made 3 spelling mistakes. Last words of Marquis de Favres after reading his death sentence before being hanged, 1790. I'm right there with him. I can't stand spelling and grammatical errors. It really, really, really bothers me. But I don't know if you've seen this, ladies and gentlemen, but both Haiti and Tanzania, right? Neither of them wanted the vaccines, right? There are multiple news stories that, by all means, look it up. Tanzania, Madagascar, and Haiti. Those three countries, but specifically Tanzania and Haiti, did not want vaccinations. They wanted to do their own thing. They're a sovereign country. Haiti was still waiting for it. Tanzania, we don't want it, right? March, John Magufuli, Tanzania's president, dies, age 61, after heart complications, or excuse me, let's go back there. Heart complications at a hospital in Dar es Salaam. Haiti, right? Haitian President Jovenel Moïse assassinated at home. I'm sure this is pure coincidence, right? There's no way that this could be connected or be some grand conspiracy theory. I'm sure it's just one of those things that just happens to come about. I will say this. After the president of Tanzania had the heart attack and passed away in the hospital, hey, Dave, how you doing, man? The new president is welcoming vaccinations and is now wants to become a member of COVAX, which I guess is this conglomeration of vaccinated countries. I just want to touch on this real quick. Do you remember in the RoboCop movies? You guys seen RoboCop? Please tell me you've seen RoboCop. If you haven't, you have to go watch it right now. The original. Remember in the RoboCop movies when corporate America aids criminals and helps incite riots so they can lower property values and buy up the city while privatizing that city's police force? Isn't science fiction crazy? It's absolutely mind-blowing how many parallels are drawn between what happens in these old, especially these old sci-fi movies, but just in general with movies and television. And then suddenly we see the effects. I don't know. I don't know what more to say to that other than it's really important that we pay attention to what's going on. There's some more out there, but listen, really, really important. The Legion in LaPorte, the American Legion, Hammond Gray, Post 83. Somebody stole their flags. The flags that were out front. Hold on. Let me get some volume here for you, and let's see if I can let you guys hear this.
Set of military flags that was stolen from our post yesterday.
Yeah, I got it all the way up.
Between 12 and 3 p.m. Please keep an eye out for these flags.
These are the flags. You're not gonna be able to hear it. These are the flags that were outside the post. This is just a facsimile of the flags. They had all these flags out there, and some piece of garbage stole some flags outside of the American Legion. Absolutely disgusting. I don't know what kind of person you need to be to do that, but yeah. One more little thing before we talk about some other stuff. A local TV news crew was held up at gunpoint during an interview on crime. It's amazing. Not that this happened, because that's horrible, but NBC Bay Area news crew held up at gunpoint during interview about Oakland crime. The story writes itself. I mean, there's the headlines for you. The story writes itself. So, look, ladies and gentlemen, I have to make a decision soon, very, very soon. I really should have already done it, but I'm going to make a decision soon about whether or not I'm going to run again, especially for state representative. I don't know. I'm very, very, very likely going to run. There are a few little things that I have to work out. But it really, for me, it comes down to I want to be able to look at my children and tell them I did the best that I could, that I did everything that I could. I don't know if there's some other way that I could affect the change that I want to see. I don't know if there is something else that I could do that would be better. I am not naive enough to believe that just by getting elected, I'm going to walk into Indianapolis and everything's going to change. I'm suddenly going to expose everything and pass everything that I want to get passed or any of that. I don't believe that. I do believe, however, that Americans are tired. I know I am. We're sick and tired of watching these people that we press the button for to represent our interests, not representing our interests. We're sick and tired of watching these people vote for the most ridiculous, convoluted legislation that's out there with no explanation, with no accountability whatsoever. Unfortunately, that's the reality. Am I going to be able to walk in and change all that? Of course not. But what I can do is I can get in there and I can show you, A, what's really happening, how it's really going on. And I can vote for the things that matter to you. I'm not going to vote for frivolous, unnecessary legislation. Number one, we have way too many laws on the books as it is. It is so hard, practically impossible to get a law off the books once it's on. I really want to work on that. I'm going to be honest. I really want to try to make it easier to get rid of some of these frivolous, unnecessary laws that are already on the books. I truly believe in limited government. I believe that government should only be there to do things the citizens themselves cannot accomplish. For example, unified defense, the National Guard, the Army. The problem is when these things are turned against their own citizens, which is exactly what the founding fathers were afraid of when they instituted the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment does not grant you rights. The Constitution itself does not grant you any rights. What it does is it protects your rights from the government. It ensures that the government cannot overstep its boundaries. And it already has in so many cases, but we know this. You know this. So that's a decision that I'll have to make. Seriously, if any of you know a way that I can make the difference that I want to make, the changes that I want to see, that all of us really, I truly believe, want to see happen, at least the vast majority of us, without running for office, by all means, let me know. I am always open to suggestions. You guys know this. Those who watch me know that that's why I'm here. That's why I talk to you, so we can have a discussion. It's not just about me making a video and talking to you and showing you various news articles. It's so we can have a discussion about it. I really wish more of our so-called elected officials that are there to so allegedly represent us would have these discussions. If these people show up to town halls, how long do they stick around? How long do they actually answer questions? They don't, right? We've seen videos of people, Republicans even, that come to these things and just shut down discussion. It's very, very frustrating. If you know of a way that I can affect the changes that you'd like to see in a way other than running for office or something like that, let me know. The biggest problem that I see as a country, the way that the laws are, the way that the election laws are, we have the means to fix everything that's going wrong in this country. We have the means to put a stop to the things that are happening. But our biggest issue is we don't have qualified candidates. And by qualified, I mean, A, people that are willing to put their names on the ballot. B, people that are able to withstand the vitriol and hatred that comes for anyone who doesn't stick to to the narrative, right? Anyone who doesn't bend the knee to the woke mob. I personally don't care. I am fully prepared to withstand whatever comes my way, but we don't have enough of those. National, all the way down to local levels. Let's face it, most people who run for office do so because they want to get rich or they want to utilize the office to do the things that they want to do. And they're the few that do have good intentions going into it, many times become compromised. And that's just the reality. I mean, Trump showed us that. At the same time, it's no secret that they come for you, right? Will that happen as a state rep? Probably not. I mean, I don't think they care enough yet. That said, though, if they can destroy, if they can silence, if they can demonize, if they can do all of the things that they did to a powerful, well-respected, loved businessman like Donald Trump, the president of the United States, they can easily do it to any of us. It's just that simple. We've seen that. So I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to take that target, that bullseye. But if there's another way that you know of, let me know. I got to make a decision soon. I have to come out and announce and get my stuff together, start having my fundraisers, start doing my my politicking stuff. But I'm going to tell you this, and let's just throw this out there. I'm going to be me. I'm not going to be a polished, double talking politician. I'm not even going to be quite as careful as I was last time. I'm just going to be me for what that's worth. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm working on a detailed, in-depth video about the new laws that were passed that just went into effect. We're gonna cover those. I think I'm gonna do a few videos. Just take a couple at a time and really kind of look into them and see what they mean for you, because we're told about these laws, right? We're told, okay, so this, like, for example, let me give you a quick example. There was a law that was changed regarding THC levels in drivers, right? Senator Bohacek was actually the author of this bill. And basically, it doesn't make it okay to drive under the influence. Let me be very, very clear. It doesn't do that. What it does, though, is prior to this legislation, if you had basically any amount of THC in your system because after a serious accident, they draw blood, they do testing, right? If you had any amount of THC in your system, you could be on the hook for a felony, and often were, right? This new legislation makes it to where only if you're above a certain amount, because let's face it, Michigan, it's legal. Illinois, it's legal. I think even Ohio, it's legal. Kentucky is working on it. All around us, marijuana is legal. Cannabis is legal. It is what it is. Well, if, for example, you went to Michigan, enjoyed the weekend with some friends, and then you came back, you would have a level in your system. Let's say you partook of cannabis while you were in Michigan. You were there for the weekend. You did it on Friday. You come home on Sunday. Obviously, it doesn't affect you. Even the most hardcore anti-THC people know that it doesn't affect you 3-4 days later, right? But you come home, you're coming into Indiana, you get just across the line, you're a few miles down the road, and you get into a serious automobile accident that isn't even your fault. They run testing, they draw blood. Prior to this legislation, if you still had that THC in your system, you could be on the hook for a felony. Now it compares the levels. Okay, so if you're under a certain amount, I don't have the numbers right now, but if you're under a certain amount, obviously you weren't under the influence when you were driving. I think it's positive. I think it's good. I'm actually going to reach out to Senator Bohacek and see if we can get him to come on the show and we can talk about it. But that's just one example of these laws. No one explains these laws, right? No one gets on here, and at least that I've seen, and explains, okay, so here's this law. Sure, you might see an article, quick snippet as to how the laws change, but what do they mean for you? And I think we're in dire need of that. So thanks for joining me. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, to say the least, Dave. On the one hand, I'm kind of looking forward to see what they come up with, but thanks for joining me. I hope to talk to you all again very, very soon. I'll get those get the last bit of that ironed out for you, and hopefully we can get started on diving into these laws. Look forward to talking to all of you again very soon. God bless you. Seriously, God bless you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America.